You are in for a real treat. This episode was originally recorded for my other podcast, but for you, it's been upgraded and transformed, and now you have the Ask the Pro show. So everything mentioned in this episode will now be found on chrisdufay.com, plus so much more, as I've designed the Ask the Pro podcast and chrisdufay.com to give you exactly what you need to grow your business success and for you to have the money, the freedom, and the happiness you want, making a bigger and better impact to the world unselfishly. So now it's time to delve straight into this episode, and I want you to lap up and enjoy every single second of it. Mr. John Lee Dumas, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast with me. I'm pumped to have you here. Now, for the listener that hasn't heard before, you and I have been on the podcast, and I had you on very early on, which I'm very, very grateful for. But now it gets even better because I get you back on to dive deeper into some other topics. But before we get into that, John, I just want to say a big thank you, sir.
Well, Chris, there are a few places I would rather be than right here, right now with you, my friend. So thank you.
Oh, you're making me blush. Okay, so before we start getting into that, look, I'm going to put in the show notes a link to the episode that we did before, because that is a must listen, and it's definitely going to extend on what we're going on today. In a nutshell, though, John, what do you do and why are you so phenomenal?
Well, I'll keep it quite short since you will be linked to that prior episode. But I am the founder and host of a podcast called EO Fire, Entrepreneur on Fire, where I interview today's most inspiring and successful entrepreneurs 7 days a week. We've been kicking for 3.5 years, 1,200 episodes. We get about 1.2 million listens per month, and it's been a pretty fun journey.
It's absolutely phenomenal. I did call you the Mr. Miyagi of podcasting in the last episode, and I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to back you on that still, because you've got that trophy up there. Now, what I want to cover with you today, John, is you are superb at growing an audience. Just as you said before, you just slipped that little side note in, 1.2 million listens per month. And that is just absolutely outrageous. I love that. And that means people are coming back for more and more and more. And your audience is growing. And what I love about it is the audience is growing, but you're turning them into raving fans. So what I want you to kind of expose to the listener, John, is how can we go about that, and what are the pitfalls where you see people actually wanting to do that and not getting there?
Yeah, so there's a lot that goes into building an audience the right way. And I think what's really good about my story is that I started from literally ground zero. I had no audience. I had no experience in the medium that I was getting into, which was podcasting. I had no online presence whatsoever. I was literally starting from ground zero. So I really am a good case study about what happens when you do the following. When you create free, valuable, and consistent content. Those are three critical ingredients. You can't just do two of them. It has to be all three. Now, what's kind of critical about that? Well, number one, no one's going to pay you for stuff at first, because why should they? You haven't proven yourself yet. So it has to be free and it has to be valuable. Now, of course, I couldn't deliver value when I started because I had no value to give. But guess what? I brought guest Chris, like yourself, like other successful entrepreneurs onto my show who were able to deliver value. So my shows were valuable from day one. And then consistency. I just had to have that consistency. And for me, that was 7 days a week. It doesn't have to be daily. That's the route that I chose, but there has to be consistency. So if you have those three ingredients, the free, valuable, consistent content, then you're going to grow an audience. You absolutely will. And then once you've grown that audience, ask them, what are you struggling with? They'll tell you their pain points. You create the solution as that person they know, like, and trust. And then guess what? You can provide that solution in the form of a product, a service, a community, and offer it to them, and you're off to the races.
This is phenomenal. You've touched on two really good points. The first one being consistency, and I think from two perspectives that works so well. One, from the listeners, they know, for yourself and the EO Fire community, they know every single day they can hop on and there's a new episode waiting for them. Say with myself, with this podcast, it comes out once a week and it's on Tuesday, absolutely every week. And I think the consistency works because the listeners listener knows it's just like a TV episode. They know at this time and this day it's coming out and I can sink my teeth into it. But also I think from the entrepreneur, and say from my standpoint, I know as well, I can adjust and design my week to suit that schedule. And it's something that's locked in every single time. And it means I can't back out of that. And I think when people are a bit wishy-washy with kind of setting their schedules up and planning what they need to do, that's one common failure I see. And another brilliant point you brought up was actually creating the audience first and then asking them to give you the answer on what to create. And this was so timely because just 2 days ago, I had a consultation call and the lady is a trainer and she's like, yeah, okay, so I want to create my program first and then I want to go out and sell it. And I was like, no, it is not going to work that way because I tell you, 99% of the chance is going to happen. You're going to create something and it is going to bomb. And it's just going to be because you haven't given what people really want. And the best way to do that is just for them to tell you.
Absolutely. I have bombed time and time again going that route that you just talked about when I finally figured out, hey, people only really vote with their wallet. So number one, I'm going to ask my audience what they want. And then number two, I'm going to pre-sell it. I'm going to make them part with actual dollars. Because if they're not willing to part with dollars for something that you will create for them now, they're probably not going to when you create it. So make sure that number one, you get the ideas from your audience. And number two, you make sure you pre-sell the crap out of it.
Brilliant. Okay, now let's talk Freedom Journal, John, because this is something I really want to dive into. Firstly, just give the listener, what is the Freedom Journal and how did you come about this being something that's like, I must do this?
So Chris, 1,200 successful entrepreneurs have been on my show. So I have my listeners, Fire Nation, who are just an amazing bunch of entrepreneurs, small business owners, entrepreneurs. They're coming to me every single day and saying, John, what is that secret to success? What's that magic bullet that every one of your successful guests has? And my answer always was, it's hard work. And that is true, but it's something that I really couldn't feel great about saying because it wasn't a tangible tool that I could share with my audience. So I said, hey, I can take a step back now and I can actually give some thought to what one commonality is that all of my guests on EO Fire have. And the answer to that thinking process was successful entrepreneurs know how to set and accomplish goals, period. Unsuccessful entrepreneurs struggle with that very thing. So this aha moment hit me a year ago, January 2015. I spent the last year pouring my heart and my soul into creating the tool that is the solution that bridges that gap between people not knowing how to set and accomplish goals to absolutely crushing their goals. And that tool is now available. It is called the Freedom Journal. Accomplish your number one goal in 100 days. And Chris, it's a beautiful leather-bound gold embossed journal that is your guide to setting that number one goal, that big flipping domino that you need to knock over, and then guiding you into the accomplishment of that goal in 100 days. And it's something that I'm so passionate about. It was one of the most difficult things I've ever done. Having to bring a physical product to market is insane how much work that takes. But now that it's here and I'm holding it in my hand and it's available on Kickstarter and I'm seeing that we have over 4,000 backers, over $265,000 has been pledged to this Kickstarter campaign of people wanting the Freedom Journal. It has been an absolute tough journey, but an amazing result.
I love that you've done this and I love where it came from, being able to obviously use all the experience of the entrepreneurs you've had on and kind of boiling it down. And when it came all down at the end of the day, it was like, okay, well, these are what these people are doing. This is what we're doing. And how can I help handhold practically what you're doing with the Freedom Journal so people can do this on scale? And I tell you what, I completely agree. After just launching the nutrition company I did it 2 months ago, going from just digital work is what we've been doing with the coaching and programs, and then bringing physical product. It's a different ball game.
It is a different ball game. We have to start playing in the world of reality as entrepreneurs. And this is a way to do just that, Chris.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back in a split with so much more for you. Now, I know you're listening and tuning in because you know how important your health is and how this can also catapult your business. This is why I'm very happy to say that this podcast is sponsored by My Body Blends and my favorite, the Superfood Elixir, the powerful greens drink. Now, this is designed specially to boost energy, aids detoxification, enhances the ability to burn fat, supports healthy carbohydrate metabolism, and best of all, is voted best tasting green drink. Now, myself and the My Body Blends team are looking for ambassadors to join, so you and your clients get the health benefits plus adding in a strong income stream for you and your business. The ambassador program, which is by application only, means you get exclusive access to sell My Body Blends products like Superfood Elixir to your clients, plus giving you the special ambassador pricing and bonuses. So once you become an ambassador, you can join the other top health and fitness players that are adding thousands to their week's income. Now, there is only a limited number of ambassadors we are taking on board, as this is a tribe leading the way together. So to apply and to join, go to mybodyblend.com/ambassador or add the checkout code that is TurningPro, all one word, when you're going to get your own Superfood Elixir to order. Plus, you're going to get free shipping and a bonus to save yourself over $250 instantly. So just use that coupon code TurningPro in the checkout and you can save over $250 right now, all on mybodyblends.com. Okay, with the Freedom Journal, John, why do you think it is so powerful? Why is someone going to get this and why are they going to get the results? Like, what are the mechanics behind this? Give me some of the meat and potatoes in it.
One of the biggest mistakes that people make when they go to set goals is they just say one thing. And you hear this a lot this time of year. You know, we just gotten done with the holidays and people have a couple of extra LBSs, a couple extra pounds hanging around now. And they're like, I want to lose weight. Well, guess what? They never end up losing weight because they haven't set what I call a SMART goal. SMART goal is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time bound. That's 5 attributes that it takes to actually set a SMART goal. When you say, I want to lose weight, you're only doing one of those attributes, and that's specific. You do want to lose weight. You're being specific, but you have to have all 5 of those attributes. So M, measurable. I want to lose 10 pounds. A, attainable. Well, it is attainable because I know that I've been at 160 before and I can get back there again for my height, for my size. So that is attainable. Is it relevant? Well, yes, I want to look better. I want to feel better. I want, to have more energy. So it is a relevant goal for me. Now, is it time bound? Well, yes, with the Freedom Journal, it is time bound to 100 days. So now with the Freedom Journal, we start from that very beginning. Page 1, step 1 is you setting a SMART goal. And now we're going to knock that out of the park as we just did. And you're going to start moving into the accomplishment of that goal in 100 days. And we do that in a very structured, very unique step-by-step process. There are daily tasks. There are nightly recaps. There are 10-day sprints. We're actually accomplishing micro goals every 10 days. There's quarterly reviews. We're on the 25th day, and every 25 days thereafter, you're looking back on your progress, seeing what worked, what didn't, et cetera, et cetera. And then you're actually going to be accomplishing that goal on day 100. After those daily tasks, nightly recaps, 10-day sprints, quarterly reviews, poof, you're at day 100 and that goal will be accomplished. And that is the Freedom Journal. It is your guide to setting and accomplishing your number one goal in 100 days.
Okay, this is phenomenal. We're definitely going to put in the show notes the link so you can get straight over and get the Freedom Journal. But I want to know from yourself, John, where did you really love it? Like, where did this kind of whole series of events going through, okay, setting the goals to maybe doing the quarterly reviews, or is it breaking things down into the chunks of the 10s? For you, did that really work?
What really worked for me was the micro goals, because something that a lot of people struggle with is keeping up that momentum. They get to day 20 or day 30 and they don't really know like how close they are to that big 100-day goal because they don't have a barometer. And that is what those 10 micro goals are. It is your barometer. So every 10th day, you're accomplishing a micro goal, which is absolutely important and phenomenal. And that's going to give you momentum for that next 10 days to accomplish that next micro goal. So there's never more than 10 days going by that you're not having a sense of accomplishment, that you're not having a sense of, hey, my momentum, I am on the right path. Or maybe I need to get my arse in gear and continue to kick this up. I mean, this is what it's all about. So by far for me, it's those 10-day sprints.
What are the kind of results you've been seeing? I'm just really interested to see, especially from the EO5 community, like what have people been achieving in these 100 days?
We've had a lot of awesome beta testers. Again, going back to, I pre-sold this. I actually had people take $20 out of their pocket and hand it to me for an advanced copy of the Freedom Journal many months before that advanced copy was available. Because I knew if people would actually pay for something that didn't yet exist, a lot of people would pay for it when it did. So that's why when we talked about that pre-sale, why it's so critical, so important. So I had a lot of people going through the beta test because I pretty quickly did whip up a 30-day and then afterwards a 100-day fillable PDF of the Freedom Journal so that I could have beta testers go through, even while the physical part, the physical Freedom Journal was still under construction, was still being created and built and produced, etc. And people were setting and accomplishing massive goals. We had people that set goals to launch a course and they did so in 100 days. We had people that had a goal of going from 0 to 1,000 email subscribers. We had people that wanted to lose weight. We had people that just wanted to have a better relationship with their significant other. We've had a lot of people achieve a lot of great goals going through this process.
How to achieve anything in 100 days. I think this is absolutely brilliant. Now, I was doing a bit of creeping out and stalking coming into this interview, John. Was it 20,000 copies you pre-bought going into this?
So I had 20,000 Freedom Journals printed, packaged, shipped over to the US. It's sitting in my warehouse right now in LA. Like, that was my big goal, was like, hey, I'm going all in here. Like, I am taking $125,000, which is how much it cost to get that many books printed, shipped and bundled and in the warehouse over here. I'm taking that money out of my pocket. I'm investing it in this Freedom Journal. So when I launched back on January 4th, I was like, man, I really hope this works. And, of course, I was pretty confident because of the pre-sales and everything about it. But it was a pretty nice feeling when the campaign crossed $125,000. And I was like, okay, I've broken even. And, now we're at 265 and, of course, growing. But, kind of talking a little bit about numbers, because I'm very big on being transparent. We've already more than covered costs, and we have sold about 5,000 Freedom Journals, which means that the next 15,000 sales of the Freedom Journal, whether they happen, it's all profit. Exactly.
How many copies was the break-even point?
The break-even point was 2,300 copies.
Oh, yeah, baby. So it's brilliant. That's just fantastic. 18,000 copies sitting there is just all profit sitting there waiting to go more. I tell you what, John, let's go even a little bit deeper. Where is this leading? Where do you want to go further, whether it's this year in 2016 or even in the years to come? What can we look forward to? What's kind of like your driving passion now?
It's interesting. I really kind of see myself continuing to build off of goals. I really am a believer in the just beauty of people who can set and accomplish goals, being able to achieve massive things. And I really kind of want to focus my business on that. I really want to focus my brand on that. Like, I kind of want to become known as the goals guy. Like, I do love my brand as the podcast and webinar guy, and that won't go anywhere because, I'm going to continue to do both of those things because they're amazing mediums. But I would love to really just be the authority figure when it comes to goals, and to be building things out around the Freedom Journal itself to make it bigger and better.
Goals on fire. Is that what we're saying?
I do own that domain.
Was that a 3 a.m. purchase?
As most are.
Okay, this is fantastic. And I only brought that up because I love seeing the progression, the evolution of entrepreneurs and what they're moving through. And obviously, you've done such a phenomenal job with EO Fire and everything that has grown out of that. And I can see where you're going to. And I kind of maybe am only seeing this as well because this is something I've seen in myself and kind of like thinking bigger picture. Where do I want to go? Are my passions changing? Like, where are my strengths and everything like that? I think that's a fantastic place. What was your kind of self-talk as you're going through this and maybe going through the questions of where do I want to go? What do I want to do now?
I don't really give myself too much self-talk about the future because I don't really look that far ahead. It's pretty interesting that I did go with the Freedom Journal, accomplish your goal in 100 days, your number one goal in 100 days, because that's about as far as I personally look ahead. I'm just not a big believer in spending a lot of time, energy, and bandwidth thinking about things that may never come to fruition. So, hey, there's a lot of people that have 1 year, 3 year, 5 year goals. And if that works for them, awesome. They should absolutely keep doing it. It doesn't work for me, so I don't do it. I really spend my energy and bandwidth looking at the present and at the near term future, which, is like 3 months, 6 months on the far horizon. But I'm really big about just focusing on one big thing at a time. That's why right now, I'm just all about the Freedom Journal. Like if, you go to thefreedomjournal.com, that's it. Like that's where I'm putting all of my time, all of my energy, all of my effort into this Kickstarter campaign. The interviews that I do, the conversations that I have, everything, the content that I create is all about the Freedom Journal. And, after the Kickstarter campaign's done on February 5th and I've moved into Amazon and I've kind of set that system up and I have that running nicely, then I'll set my sights on something else. It'll probably be related to the Freedom Journal, but it might not be. But it'll be then that I really say, okay, what's that next big goal?
This is great. And I think for the listener right now, this is a huge takeaway is where John has so many opportunities at hand and it's the power of saying no. And it's the kind of, all right, I'm putting 100% presence, 100% focus into this project right now. And as he actually said, going all in. That's what I love, John, about what you're doing and why I know it's just going to do so well. It already has, and it's only going to prosper bigger and better. So I really appreciate you sharing that. I think that's a huge takeaway point that everyone needs to, and I need to slap myself every now and then and kind of bring myself back into focus back. No, Chris, like bring it back down. Do you know what I mean? You kind of get a little bit of entrepreneurial ADD and you're running around like a hamster. This is where the results really come from. And that's why also, the proof's in the pudding, the Freedom Journal is doing so well.
Well, listen, there's bright, shiny objects everywhere. The weapons of mass distraction will destroy you if you let them. That's why I saw a big void that was out there in the marketplace that needed to be filled. There's some good journals out there. There's some good guides out there, but there is nothing out there that says, hey, this is how you set one goal and accomplish that one goal in 100 days. Because going back to what I said earlier about that big domino, we all have that big domino in our life. And if we can knock it over, that chain reaction of awesome will start, but it won't until we knock it over.
You know what I love about it as well? It is a real book. I just love real books. Pen on paper, it's a good thing. Like I like that. And I like being able to cross things off. It gives me a really nice dopamine kick. All right, John, now where does the listener go right now to get their hands on a Freedom Journal and to learn more about everything that you're doing right now?
All the magic happens at eofire.com for my podcast, for my free courses. But if you've been listening and you've been saying, hey, the Freedom Journal sounds interesting, I do have that one big goal and I want to be guided into the accomplishment of that goal with this beautiful leather-bound gold embossed journal, or you just want to learn more about it before you make any decision, visit thefreedomjournal.com. That'll take you straight to the Kickstarter campaign and you'll be off to the races. You can check out all the different rewards, gifts, and bonuses that we have there. If you're listening to this after February 5th, I'm sorry you did miss the Kickstarter campaign, but guess what? Thefreedomjournal.com will take you to a beautiful website where you can purchase yours.
Done and done. That is in the show notes to get straight on over. John, you are literally the first person I spoke to today because it is early here in Bali and
yes,
could not think of a better one. Don't tell my wife. She'll be a little bit peeved about that, but that's all good. John, always fantastic talking with you, mate. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm looking forward to chatting again soon.
Chris, you the man.
So now it's time for you to click on over to chrisdufay.com. That's chrisdufey.com to get all the guides and show notes. And if you are wanting the workshops where I walk you through how to build your online business, click on over to chrisdufay.com/start here. This is where I can give you the exact training guides and the workshops for exactly where you're at and the answers that you need. Now, every Friday I'm coming back to you with a new episode. So be sure to subscribe, and if you haven't already, you're going to be getting the world's best insights, the advice, and the answers to give you the business, the money, the freedom, and the success and happiness that you want. And I want to give you a huge muchas gracias for being here with me. And as always, get in touch with me via the site or via social, as Ask the Pro is about me giving you the answers that you need. So ask away.